depressing, to be honest with you. I'm tired of my shop and it has to change. It's a small space, so I need to plan it out. That's what this video is going to be about. If any of y'all have been following my channel for a while, you know I do all this out of a 2-car garage, and I share this garage with a car. That car has to come in here every single night. So yeah, space is limited. As of lately, I've been unmotivated to come out here. Probably why my videos have kind of slowed down. I've been working a lot on my artwork and other things that don't involve pulling the table saw out and stuff like that. It's just, I've got jigs laying on the floor. I've got tools in random places. I don't have room and I don't have places to put things, and that really affects my psyche. I'm the type of person that likes 5S. I like everything to have a place. And for a long time, I've been living like this and working like this, and I'm ready for that change. My next set of series of videos is probably going to be a lot about what I'm doing here. So if you're interested, maybe you have a small space and you want to follow along with me and maybe get some ideas, it might help you. I'm just going to show you what I do and you can take it from there. First step is I'm going to make some cabinets, and we're going to plan that in this video. How do I plan this? I don't have a fancy program like SketchUp, like some people. However, I do have pen and paper, and that's what I'm going to use. A lot of my projects, I just use my head. But for something like this, where you kind of want to get an idea how much material you're going to need and an idea of the layout, I'll draw it out, get dimensions and all that stuff. I got to figure out my space. Where am I going to put this first set of cabinets? And I'm going to put it where my old workbench is. It's going to actually be bigger than that. I'm going to use a 12-foot long space, 32-inch deep, and I'm thinking about 37 as the final height. That feels like a comfortable height to me. That's a little bit lower than my mobile workbench. I built this old bench when I first moved in here like 10, 12 years ago, whatever it was, and it's inefficient. It has no drawers. It has all this open space that you can't use. All you can do is pile stuff on the bottom and on top. So it's time that it goes, and I'll be glad to get rid of it. Next thing for my planning phase, I had to plan in a miter saw, a sliding miter saw. I have an old miter saw down there that I never use. It's a pain to get out, set it up. I want one that's stationary and that's level with the rest of the bench, so I can put material up there, cut it, probably add some dust collection afterwards, and something that I can use regularly instead of always having to drag out my table saw. I tend to lean on my table saw a lot, but a miter saw is nice to have, let's be honest. Key thing about the miter saw I need is I'm limited on space as far as depth. So I don't want this to be any bigger than 32. That's already stretching it. 32 is taking up a little bit more than what I have now. And what I need that space for is oftentimes at nighttime when the car's in the garage, I do my artwork on the other side of my mobile workbench between my bench. So I still need room to be able to push back the mobile workbench, do my artwork comfortably, and not have to back out a car just to do that. So this miter saw is going to have to fit. And the first one I looked at is the Dewalt. The Dewalt is it's 40 inches total depth, and that's not going to work. Their slide goes back behind the saw. It takes up an extra 10 inches than necessary. So I looked at the Bosch. The Bosch is roughly about 30 inches, 10 inches less than the Dewalt, because the way it's designed is it's flat and it just comes out and it comes back and it stays flat with the back of the saw minus the little bit of dust collection, which I'm not going to use that bag anyways. I'm going to hook up an actual vacuum dust collection to the saw. It was tricky getting the measurements. They don't give you crap online as far as the measurements you need to build around the saw. You almost have to go to the saw. So that's what I did. I went to the big box store, brought my tape measure. Actually, I used one of their tape measures, and I took my actual measurements of the saw that I plan on buying so that I can design the cabinet to fit that. You have to think about everything, and I've been planning this now for several weeks. I just keep going back over it and over, and just while making this video, I thought of more things that I didn't think of that I'm going to have to readjust on my drawings and measurements and so forth. But for the saw, the height is 3/4 for, and I took a straight edge and all that and marked it. I'm going to want to make the bench top a little bit less than 3/4 because it'll be easier to shim the saw up than down. At least that's what I'm thinking. But I can't buy the saw yet because I have nowhere to really put it. I can't put it inside, take up way too much spot. I have nowhere out here to put it while I'm building all this. So I have to build this and then cross my fingers and go buy the saw and hope that it fits. Now, another thing I had to think about in this 12-foot span that I'm going to put these is how I want to organize these, because obviously one of these is going to be lower for the miter saw than the other two. So how I decided to split this up is I'm going to have one cabinet that's 36 inches wide, which is more than enough for the miter saw. Miter saw takes up roughly around 30. And the other cabinets are going to be 56 inches wide. Now this is the carcass, not the openings or anything like that. My plan, which I'm not there yet, is I'm going to have cabinet doors, and I want some shelving on these cabinet doors. That'll all come later in another video, but I also want some drawers. So each carcass is going to have a set of like 20-inch drawers that I can utilize to put stuff in. This is going to be huge, y'all, for me, because I mean, it's horrendous, and I don't even like being out here anymore. I used to like coming out here with my coffee, and I enjoy building stuff, but now it's depressing, to be honest with you. And I think this will really help in my future content that I'm gonna hopefully make for y'all, for those that are interested. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I'm gonna show you real quick how I do this on paper. I'm not the best at math, and I'm not the best at drawing out yet. Still got a lot of practice needed, but here's how I do it. Okay, down and dirty details on how my drawing works and how I get my cut list and so forth. I have my cabinet, one of three. This is the 56-inch long cabinet. I have basic stuff on here, my overall height, overall length, overall depth. This length is all three cabinets. This cabinet is going to be 56 inches long. I have my tabletop, which is 3/4 inch. I have face frames that are going to be 2 inch. I have a separator that's 2 inch. I have a bottom piece, and I have a toe. Now, how do I figure out my side pieces first? Well, let's figure out the height. So I know my overall height is 37 inches. So let's start subtracting. I don't need that measurement in there, so 0.75. And the toe. It's not coming down past the toe, so -3. So that leaves me 33 inches and a quarter. I'm going to write that down over here as the height. How do I get the depth? Basically the same thing. My overall depth, y'all, is 32. We're going to go ahead and subtract the face frame, which is going to be in front of that, and that's going to be 0.75. And this is going to have a 2.5 inch overhang on my tabletop, so I want to take that out as well because I want it back behind that. So -2.5. That leaves me with 28 inches and 3/4. So my side pieces for my cabinet shell are going to be 33 1/4 by 28 3/4. Bottom, exactly the same, y'all. I know I got a 56-inch cabinet. This bottom piece is going to go in grooves, a 1/2 inch deep on each side, so -1 inch leaves you with 55. The depth is even easier because I want it to be even with the front and back, so it's 28 3/4. Now plywood varies, and I'm going to do rabbets on the back, so this is going to be cut to fit. That's why I have CTF. This is one of those things you do not want to cut up front. Wait until you get everything, your carcass there, and you can get actual real-time measurements, and then cut your plywood to fit that. I think it'll work out a lot better for you if you do it that way. A few other notes you might want to put in here is I'm going to do pocket holes around these shells to later on screw down my top. That way it's screwed from underneath and pulling it down. And that's basically it. You can take these measurements, draw out a piece of plywood, kind of figure out your cut list, and you can be more accurate on how much lumber you need to buy at the big box store or wherever you get your lumber from, so you're not over or under buying and making multiple trips. And I talked about my art earlier. Here's something I just happened to notice I'm working on out here. It's my latest. If y'all haven't seen my art, feel free to check it out on my Facebook page. And I've also done some short videos here on this channel showing what I do. But this is one of the things I do in my spare time. Anyways, I hope this helped y'all. I feel that I have a good start on this planning process, but you know how it goes. There's always things that are going to come up, and I'm going to have to figure out stuff along the way. Some of the stuff you don't want to cut everything up front and it not fit later. So my plan is I'm going to build the carcass, and then we'll go from there. I'll do cabinet doors, I'll do drawers, I'm going to do all that, and I'm going to break this up into several videos. So it'll be kind of like a series for y'all until it's all done. And I'm really excited again about coming out to my workshop. But I appreciate y'all watching, and I'll see y'all next time whenever we're cutting cabinets.